So the question is, what is ChatGPT? GPT stands for Generative Pre-trained Transformer. But what it is? In simple, it's a conversational AI chatbot. So what that means is like you can ask a question rather than throwing a bunch of useful information sources that you can see in Google. It presents in a more conversational way, like how the human will answer you if you ask him a question, him or her a question. So ChatGPT is able to sound so human-like because it is trained on massive amount of data written by real people. Tools that learn from huge quantities of data like this work, whether we call it as a large language models, in short LLM. These models are typically based on in a neural network and are trained using a technique called unsupervised learning, where the models learn to predict the next word in a sentence based on the previous word. Let's see what Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, who created the ChatGPT, says about ChatGPT. Okay, so ChatGPT is incredibly limited, but good enough at some things to create a misleading impression of greatness. It's a mistake to be relying on it for anything important right now. It's a preview of progress. We have a lot of work to do on robustness and truthfulness. ChatGPT is not the first large language models. Then why it's so popular then among the other models? Because our mind compares it with the Apple Siri, Android Google, or Amazon Alexa. So we know when we use those virtual assistants, we'll be most of the time shocked and disappointed by their limited knowledge, explanations, or answers from right. So that's why the ChatGPT impresses a lot. Okay, to understand ChatGPT in more detail, we need to know these three terms: generative AI, transformer, and NLP, natural language processing. So, what is generative AI? So, generative AI is generate new content instead of analyzing the existing data. So, it means it literally it can produce text, images, program codes, poets, LinkedIn post, YouTube description, and so on. So similarly, what is transformer? Transformer is a deep neural network which learns the context and meaning by tracking the relationship between the words in a sentence. This is very, very important. This is why we love ChatGPT or everybody is talking about ChatGPT. Because when you type a very long question, it can able to understand what is the more weightage words in that questions. It needs to understand the context, right? It's very similar. Like when you ask question or when someone asks you questions, if the question is so long, you try to catch the keywords from the question and you try to answer the question based on those words, right? To give the weightage. You don't care about what, when, is, was, and so many words in it, right? So you'll understand what they are trying to ask, what is the important point in their questions. You try to understand. So the more understanding of the question will give you the more appropriate answer. This is what the transformer does. And what is natural language processing? The natural language processing is understand the name says, right. It's more like processing the natural language. So this helps the ChatGPT to give a reply in a more conversational tone. So it can understand the incoming message and then it can able to give you the more the conversational way it can give you. That's why we like it. So this is the ultimate question comes in everyone's mind. So when you start using ChatGPT, initially you will wonder. Then later, when you start using it, you can understand its limitations. Of course, it's a starting point. So we cannot say right now it just too much of hype is around ChatGPT. Still, it can do a lot, but there is a hope for the future. It has agreed there are a lot of limitations in ChatGPT, and the more training it requires, more better it can be. But one thing is very clear that it opened doors to an amazing use of this large language models, and we understood and we experienced this kind of large language models in much better way. So in future, in very near future, this can create a more powerful virtual agent platform in the world. Hope so.